So like I said, today's chapter is chapter 24. It's disruptive. We're going to look at enabling success with the aid of different technologies, and we're going to start with this disruptive innovations. So what are disruptive innovations? First of all, so these are different innovations that come into place that help to obtain growth. And how does this growth come about? It brings into place an ability to achieve new performances in an organization. So it helps us to be able to achieve much more superior success or performance in our day-to-day running of our business. So disruptive innovation is hand in hand, or it is associated with development of information technology, and these are what we call the disruptive technologies. The information technologies that are being developed are what we are referring to as the disruptive technologies. So what are the different disruptive technologies that are being developed on a day-to-day basis that organizations are facing? So there are quite a number of them, and the first one we have is cryptocurrency. So cryptocurrencies, these are not physical paper notes that like we're used to in our that we use to transact on a day-to-day basis. With cryptocurrencies, this is digital money or digital currency. I think we've heard of this quite many times. We've seen things like bitcoins, ethereums. All these are cryptocurrencies that are used to trade in some countries where they're recognized quite enough, or they're also used as a mode of investment. So you don't have physical money, but you can buy these cryptos and then you keep them for the future or invest them for the future. Sorry. So many cryptocurrencies are decentralized systems based on the blockchain technology. So there is no central bank for these cryptocurrencies, just like which is different from how we have central banks for the physical paper notes that we use. The central banks usually monitor the amount of money that is in circulation in an economy for various reasons. But with these cryptocurrencies, there is no central bank, there is no printing of notes, there is no central authority. So the authority for the different transactions, it comes from the consensus mechanism, which is from the blockchains. So that's how cryptocurrencies operate. And how does this have an effect on an organization? Anyone has an idea how these have an effect on different organizations? Okay. And in case you do not hear me, please let me know. And sometimes I notice that I drop off the call and I don't, because I'm not sharing this particular page, I cannot notice. So please, if I get off the call, someone should notify me early enough so I can rejoin. So I notice there is some part that you miss between when I log off and when I rejoin. Just a second. Okay, so I was asking, how does cryptocurrency affect the organizations on a day-to-day basis? So there are some organizations whereby cryptocurrencies are recognized as a mode of payment. So how does that help? It means that now it can be used to secure payments for online transactions. So now with these cryptocurrencies, of course, there are different things that companies can be able to forego if you're doing online transactions. And now you don't have to go through different sequences of approval from one bank to another. Here you can, if a company accepts, let's say, one cryptocurrency as a mode of payment, you can just make a transfer and then it's just instant. It also helps in reducing the counterfeits, because now with these cryptocurrencies, given that they are not physical, it's very difficult to fake them. So as if you're a company that is recognizing such cryptocurrencies as a mode of payment to you, it means you're at a safer side of having minimal chances of getting counterfeit notes as a mode of payment given to you. So I don't know if there are any inquiries before I proceed on that. If we've all understood cryptocurrencies. Okay, so if there are no questions, then let's proceed to the benefits of cryptocurrencies. One, they are easier transfer of funds, because now it is only between two parties. You don't need a third party to do the approvals, which the third party could be like the bank. Then they are easily transportable without geographical borders, because we said these are not physical paper notes. So they're not bulky, they are not tangible. You don't need to have to move them from one location to another. And they also have very minimal transaction fees, which is a bit different from when we are doing transactions with now, like with the banks. We have bank charges, we have transfer charges. Here the charges are very minimal. Then it's potentially much faster, because now the parties that are involved are quite few. There will be majorly two: the person is making the payment and the person is receiving the payment. Then central authorities and governments having to interact you are very minimal, given that there is no central body or central bank that governs these cryptocurrencies. So it makes it more personal between the two parties who are doing the transactions, and there is limited interruption from the government. However, there are also some challenges or drawbacks that we face if you're using these kinds of transactions as a company. Why? Because now different countries can decide to develop different cryptocurrencies for themselves. So you might find even some countries do not allow those particular kind of payments. They don't recognize them. For example, now like in China, cryptocurrencies are illegal. So it means if your mode of payment or transaction is cryptocurrencies, it would be difficult for you to trade with such a country. Then also countries can decide to develop their own cryptocurrency. So it means now, if they don't accept your cryptocurrency, you must have to first purchase their cryptocurrency to be able to transact with them, which makes it a little difficult than when we are using, let's say, if we say we can all make transactions across different countries with our currencies, and the only issue or risk that we face would be the exchange rate. So that is a very big challenge. And then also we've had some countries coming in place to govern crypto issuers, which makes it now a little difficult, because now there will be strict regulations that will be coming in place to regulate how you govern, how you exchange, and how the coins can maybe be stable and fluctuate givenly. So those are some of the challenges that we face with using bitcoins. Sorry, not bitcoins, cryptocurrencies. And there could be much more depending on what keeps evolving over time and what the scenario is trying to put across. So those are the main drawbacks. Like we said, there could be low enforcement, countries not sharing, or some making the cryptocurrencies illegal, exchange rates fluctuating quite oftenly. That becomes a very difficult. Actually, it's one of the biggest challenges, because you might have a coin today, which is, let's say, worth 5,000, and tomorrow it is 3,000. So it means your transactions for the next day would be very expensive on you. Then there's a risk of tax evasion for the side of the government, because now these are not monitored by a central body or a central bank. So those are the main challenges. Are we together? Can you hear me?
Yes, madam.
Okay. All right.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So are we together? Are you? Have you been able to understand how these cryptocurrencies operate and what they are? Because if I don't get a response, it feels as if maybe you did not understand or you didn't hear. But anyhow, let's continue now and proceed to fintech. Fintech is the same as financial technology. Has anyone heard of this before? Lynn, cheleza volume age. Lynn, cheleza hiyo volume again. Sorry. So we're talking about financial technology. So here we've seen in organizations different big technology innovators coming up with different products that are being introduced to organizations. And of course, in the corporate world, fintech is something that okay, we get financial services from this kind of financial technology. It helps us in doing a lot of works. It helps us in reducing time wastages that come from the time you'd have spent doing one particular thing that could be solved by a system that you had. For example, maybe doing ledgers, preparing ledgers manually. All that kind of work is minimized with the help of financial technology. So these have blockchains in place. We had talked about blockchains, I think, before. I think the previous on Tuesday last week. I think that's when you looked at something to do with blockchains. Anyone who remembers? Someone who can tell us? Because I remember I explained it quite a lot. Someone? Cecilia, could you tell us? Please unmute and get to participate in class. Jane, could you please unmute and let us know? Because we talked about blockchains before. Should I say no one is hearing me or?
Um, yeah, we did, but haven't printed out the notes yet. I don't remember exactly what it's about.
Joshua, do you have an idea of what blockchain is?
No, I'm not so sure what blockchain is. I've heard of it, uh, but I don't have so much on it.
Okay, so with blockchains, here is where we have you've seen systems whereby we can all log in into the system at the same time and check, let's say, a particular ledger. Let's say the manager can check, the accountant can check, the maybe the warehouse person can check at the same time. So that ability of different people being on different workstations and they can be able to check, they can be able to log on into that particular, let's say, system or ledger and check at the same time is what a blockchain is. So it's not something really complicated. I think someone wants to join the class. Okay, so let's proceed. So that's what blockchains are. It's a kind of technology whereby we have now systems in place that we can be able to check different transactions from different workstations, and we're able to access information at the same time. So like we had said last time in the previous class, blockchains help us in being able to minimize time, whereby for example, if you want to get authority or approval for a particular transaction, you don't have to first log off and then the other person has to come and log in into your system and then approve. You can just notify them, you log on, or they can even get prompts notifications. Someone, you put in, let's say you punch in an invoice and the person in charge of approving will approve, and then the procedure will continue without having time wastages. So with financial technology, these blockchains are quite common, because most of the softwares that we use, they enable this kind of performance across the different departments, and across the company. So that's what blockchains are. You don't have to really get stressed over it, but because now they are quite common, it's important that you know them, because you could see a term and if you don't know what it means in the exam, it could a little bit waste your time trying to think about what it does or what it is. So we have different ledgers that are used especially in the finance department. And what do these financial technologies help us with? It means now we have a database of different records which have information that is relevant for the different individuals or departments, or for a company as a whole, that will use this particular information. They will have information, for example, they'll be giving us maybe the people that are using the particular assets, maybe how much were the assets, how much have we spent on maybe something. So all these transactions are captured under the distributed ledgers. So now let's look at how the blockchains work. Like how I'd explained, now remember, different people are logging into the system and they're getting different kinds of information without having to consult from anyone. So how does a block get added into a blockchain? The different things that must happen. One, a transaction must occur. You cannot have a block people checking a different, sorry, checking the transaction if the transaction is not there in the first place. So there must be a transaction, and this transaction must be verified to be an accurate transaction. So this is carried out by the network of different computers, rather than being done by maybe the central authority. Then the transaction must be stored in a block, or what we would call a ledger. And then lastly, the block must be given a hash. So once all the block transactions have been verified, then the block is given a code which is called a hash. That's what a hash is. So look at it. For example, if you go to an ATM machine and you're going to withdraw money, one, you must be going to do a transaction. So if you initiate a transaction, there should be something that is accurate. Maybe your account number is correct, maybe the PIN number is correct. Then if it's correct, then it will lead you to a particular ledger. Let's say your personalized account is where you're going to, let's say, make a transaction on, either maybe on depositing, withdrawing, whatever you want to do, maybe checking transfers and all that. And then if it is verified, then they give you a particular code that will show that this information is correct and it can be added to the blockchain. So that's how it operates. And how do blockchains now vary from the traditional transaction processing systems that have been in use? Of course, there are quite a number of ways. When we're doing the traditional businesses, or the traditional systems that we're using in businesses, the data is held centrally, or there is one person who regulates or who monitors the data and the information that is being recorded. For example, if we say purchases, there is not one person who will be, let's say, the procurement officer, who will have all the information about what we are purchasing, the item, the price, the cost, who is going to be using that particular item. All that information is held by a central person or a central position who will be given that authority. But now with blockchains, there are different blocks of data that are stored on every single computer in the blockchain. So you could have yes, you have a database that is storing all the information, but then different computers will have different information, different blocks of data that is available to them. So it's a bit decentralized from the traditional systems which were centralized. Does it make sense? Are we together?
Yes, we are together.
Okay. So with blockchains, of course, security is very important for us to be able to secure the data or the information that we are feeding in and that we are intending to keep for future use. So how does this information keep secure? These blocks help us in a way that once information has been fed into the system, it can be, it will be taken as information that cannot be changed unless there has been given authority for someone to change it. For example, if you've punched in, let's say, a cell, and the process has come to an end, for that particular invoice to be deleted, there should be approval from someone for that invoice, for that particular transaction to be deleted. So that's why it's very difficult to have those transactions deleted. They can either be reversed, so you can see what has happened. It came in and it got reversed, but it being deleted could be something very difficult. So that's how we're able to have security over the transactions that are stored in these different blocks. So these blockchains are secure in one, because now remember we said we have a hash. Anyone remembers what a hash is? I just explained it. Someone tell us. Someone please.
It identifies any attempts made to the block to change the block.
The definition of a hash. Okay, a hash is like okay, in simple terms we can call it maybe a digital fingerprint. That's what a hash is. Not to cram the entire definition of what I was trying to explain it to be. So just know that a hash is like a fingerprint or an identity, something that will show the identification. So how these hashes help us in ensuring that our information is secure? That it will identify the block and what information is stored in that particular block. So you can be able to see maybe how many times a change in the block has happened. If there's been different attempts to change anything, you could trace and say who has done it, when did they do it. So how does this help us? It means that now, sorry. So it means now you can be able to know which people are checking what. So you can be able to put in place security measures that will help you safeguard yourself as an organization. You could this could also help you be able to mitigate the risk of having hackers get into your system. And how are you going to do that? You constantly do updates that can be able to help secure those kinds of blocks. Then also users can opt to connect their computers to the blockchain network, and their computers can be able to receive a copy of the blockchain that is automatically updated each and every single time a new block has been added. And how does this help us as an organization? Look at it in this way. If, for example, we have invested in a cryptocurrency, and the transactions, remember, every single minute there is something that changes in the values of these different currencies that we have, let's say, bought or we are investing in. Instead of these people coming to inform every single person or every single investor that has an account or has that particular coin that, hey, look, in this second the transaction dropped down and then it is going to increase, please look forward to the next 5 minutes, there will be a change, which is completely a difficult work to do. So when we have this kind of a system, any single change, it copies every other person who is on the blockchain or who can access that particular information on the block. So it helps you in saving lots of time, and you can be able to copy as very many people as possible. So this helps in ensuring that there is limited manipulation, because everyone is copied at the same time, whereby someone would come and deceive you that maybe you can be able to make a transaction at this rate. Now here you're informed every single minute of the day. You can be able to get information that is accurate without being manipulated, and then you can be able to make decisions that are informed, if either you want to continue with making the transaction, if you want to hold, if you want to lag, whatever you want to do at the particular moment. Then even if the transactions on blockchain are not completely anonymous, there is personal information about the users that is limited to only the people that are the users. For example, if you have a username and a password, not every person can be able to get this information. Yes, with these kinds of, let's say, crypto, if I don't know if any of you has had a chance to interfere with a cryptocurrency software or trading platforms, you cannot be able to see which people are buying, which people are selling. That kind of information remains anonymous. But then, even then, there is one information that is available to one user and it cannot be shared across. Like, let's say your passwords, these ones will be much secured to you as an individual that is using that particular account. So we as the users who are using these kinds of blockchain, we don't know how many or who is adding different blocks to the blockchain. So we cannot be able to do different alterations in this kind of in these blocks that are being added or being removed. Oh, sorry, I think I did something. Okay, so we are together here. So that's how we are able to ensure that information on the blockchains is secure enough for the users and for whoever is in charge of controlling the blockchains. So we have minimal number of people who can be able to access personalized information. So make sure that people who are using the different blocks, the information is secure enough, and then it leaves a fingerprint whereby we can be able to check which person is using the block, what are they trying to do, and how often are they visiting or checking this particular block. And that is what we called the hash. And then it also helps in ensuring that you can connect different computers to receive alerts and information at the same time. That helps us in reducing the manipulation of the data or the information. So let us now proceed to how the different blockchains can be applicable, or what we can call the application of blockchains. So because with these blockchains in place, we have very minimal people coming in interference with. Then there we have a reduction in the reliance of one particular intermediary that could come in, that we could rely on to be able to get the information that we are looking to, or to be able to access the different ledgers that we would want to access. So how does this at the end of the day affect the organization? Of course, it helps the company to improve efficiency, given that now there will be limited time delays in reliance on different people to provide different kinds of information to us. So this can be used in businesses processes whereby they are characterized by inefficiencies. For example, the trade finance, and then that exists because of lack of of trust. Hello? Okay, still on the call. So of course now, if as an organization we're able to do our different works that we want to do without having to rely on one particular individual. Just assume, for example, today we want to check what the transactions or what the statements of the financial statements are saying, to be able to make a decision whether to maybe do a particular to make a decision promptly that could affect the business performance. And then on that particular day, maybe one major person in the organization is not available. We can say, let's say a finance manager is on leave, or the CFO is on leave. So if only information would be accessed by the help of having the CFO to give us maybe the files, what are the updates, what has happened as of today, it would be very difficult for us to get the information and make decisions without their presence. But what happens when we have these blockchains in place? We can be able to access these different ledgers with or without them, because now this enables us to reduce the level of reliance on particular individuals. So we can log into the system, check what we want to check, and then we can be able to make a decision there and then if we need the decision so urgently anyway. So that is of very much importance to an organization, because with limited reliances, it increases visibility, it increases efficiency in an organization, and we can also be able to do timely informed decisions as management. So if we are, for example, in the healthcare sector, you've seen instances where you go to a medical, let's say a hospital, and then you ask, have you been to this hospital before? And then you say maybe yes. If no, maybe you're given a card, and then you can be able to, they can capture information and put your records in one particular space. So how does that help? It means that now if someone has created an account for you, someone can be able to check your history. If you visit the same hospital again, no one is going to change, of course, your details. It's very difficult. And then if you come on the next time, even if you find a different person, they can be able to check what was your history and how can we be able to assist without the presence of that particular maybe doctor that worked on you on the previous time. So the different people can be able to view the records, but of course amendments will be very minimal on the part of, let's say, the patients who are coming into the medical centers or the medical practitioners, or like hospitals. So we have minimal altering of the information, but we can still be able to view the history of what has been happening and how we can be able to help someone get to a better place, or be able to have the customer satisfied with satisfied with the service that we are offering to them. So that's how blockchains are coming into existence to help us in the financial department or even in other departments of the organization. So I don't know if we are okay as of that, or can we proceed? Okay, so it appears there are no questions. Then let's proceed. Let's look at machine learning. So these machine learnings are subsets of artificial intelligence. So mainly These ones give the ability of the system to make the prediction or to draw conclusions based on the analysis of the large history data set that is available in the system. So for example, in the finance sector or in the finance department, here we can be able to have, let's say, fraud detection improvements. They can help us in intelligent bookkeeping. And how does this happen? If you you don't have to worry about trial balances now anymore, because if you're using a system, it knows, it has been set that if you make a sale, some accounts must be affected. Maybe the inventory must be affected, the cash, if the payment has been received, the revenue will be affected. So you don't have to keep on coming to check the trial balance balancing, is there any error. This is minimized with the help of the machine learning or with artificial intelligence. It also helps in making sense of complexities in taxation. It's much easier in computations and effective non-financial reporting for transactions that may not necessarily be in the financial statement. Sorry. Then we have robotic processes and intelligent automations. And these robotic process automations, they are software, and this software we can use it to easily program or structure information for the end users to be able to perform high volume data, or maybe tasks that are happening on a day-to-day basis. So these robots are used in doing different programming. So it will assist the person who is in the organization, and also the person who is going to be the end user. So with the help of these robotic processes, we can be able to have accurate information that can be passed on or be automated very quickly. So it means at the end of the day, different tasks can be completed in a short time or shortest time possible. Then we have other disruptive technologies. For example, we have 3D objects or 3D printing. Okay. So with a 3D printing, we have the potential to disrupt the commercial activities of, for example, if we are transporting goods from the manufacturer or from the manufacturing point to the consumers, we can be able to see the different. We can be able to have in place the use of this 3D printing. And how does that happen? It means now we have limited interactions. For example, if we say one person is going to do the loading, maybe we can begin from the packaging, the loading, the counting, okay, all that process. So we can have in place a system that can be able to maybe do the packaging. We know that maybe every particular box has this number of items, and then once these boxes have been placed, maybe they can also maybe you know that each container can only absorb or can only contain this number of boxes. Sorry. So that makes it much easier, because now we have different humans who are doing that, who would maybe be prone to making errors, or maybe any other any other shortcomings that could come as a result of that. Then we have the AR, which is the augmented reality. This one is a virtual reality, and this is very common in places where I've seen video gamings. You can be able to interact with different. Okay, it's not literally a physical person, but you can be able to interact with something that could make it feel more real to the person that is doing the interaction. So at the end of the day, it helps enhancing maybe people's memories in mental well-being for different people, because this will be done for different purposes, maybe for trainings, for education, or maybe just for fun. If someone is tired, go and relax your mind, interact with this particular um, technology, and it helps you to relax. So at the end of the day, of course, now you feel a bit mentally relaxed. It will help you in getting mental well-being. Then we have renewable energies, for example, like solar power, or where we have turbines, wind turbines that are in place. And these ones help us in replacing fossil fuels and nuclear powers. And I think we had looked at this in the Internet of Things, that particular, I think it was chapter 16, yes, where we still looked at something similar, much similar to this. Then we have product and process innovation. So with innovation, of course, here we're trying to have a new knowledge on maybe new products, new processes, new services. That's what innovation basically looks at. So in SBL, we consider mainly two aspects of the innovation. So one, we consider the extent to which the innovation should be pushed to technological development, or how it can be led by the customer demand. And we also look at if the investment in the product innovation or process should be done. Sorry, let me catch a glass of water, just a second. Okay, so now let's proceed. So I was saying, mainly in SBL, we consider two major aspects. If we should either make this investment in, let's say, the product that is trying to be brought on board, or we can also look at the extent to which the innovation can be pushed by technological development. So these are some of the major things that we need to consider, because they will aid us whether to accept the new innovation, or if we can be able to know if this is not quite important or necessary at the particular moment. So under this, we will look at technology push or market pull. I don't know if anyone has looked at these. I think they're in FM. Yes, they should be in FM. Anyone who knows what a market pull is, or a market push? anyone who remembers? Okay, let me try to, I don't know, maybe, but anyhow, we have a market pull and a market push. So with a market pull, here the innovation approach is the one whereby the product, so the product development for under the market pull is being driven by identified customer needs and demands. So we see what the market wants, and then we are able to produce based on the demands that are being raised from the market, which is different from the demand push. Now the demand push would be the opposite of the pull. So with the push, now the organization can be able to innovate, and then they will promote the product to the consumers to be able to increase demand, or for them to be able to know what product has been brought on market, and how they can use it, and how they can continuously be able to use or get satisfaction from the product. So where we have technology push, we have a new technology system that can be developed. Maybe we've done research and development from the different departments, and we've come up with something that we think can be able to make economic sense in the market. So we design this particular technology, and then we introduce it to the market. But with the market pull, it means the market makes maybe they have found a need for having this particular system or technology in place, and then they demand, and we design for them. Sorry. So this is let me highlight this. It's a bit hidden, you might miss it. So this is what I was telling you, that with the market pull, here we listen to what customers want, and then we can be able to develop something based on what they are looking for. But rather than us basing on the innovations that we have looked at, which could not even be applicable in our current market, and then we force them onto these customers to use. So with the technology push model, here, if the market hasn't been formed, you're not sure if they were going to take on this product, or they're not going to take on this product. So you're working on a place of highly uncertainty. So you develop your product, you do research on it, and it is not known at all. After you've finished designing it, for example, maybe let's say maybe a phone. You've developed you've done research on how this particular phone can be able to solve different problems. Maybe the speed is quite good. So you're at a point of doing research. You do the invention, you design, you develop that particular phone that you're trying to bring on the market, and then you manufacture it. Now after you've manufactured it, you've manufactured it, you bring it to the market, and you begin to advertise it to these different customers. After they've understood what you're exactly trying to let them know about your product, maybe you'd say this product has better storage, it's much faster in terms of delivering output, network is extremely good, and whatsoever information that you'd want to use as much catchy as possible. And then if the market appreciates, then they can be able to buy, and that's at the point where the sale will happen. So that is with a push technology. But now with a pool, of course, now would begin at a point of what the customer now would go backwards. The customer has something that they would desire, they come and inform us, we do the research, we do the innovation and the development, and then we can manufacture for them. So that is it about the technology push model. Let's look at product or process innovations. Or are there any questions before I proceed? Any? Please, if there are any questions, feel free to always unmute, because I notice I keep asking and no one responds. So I'm at a place where I don't know if you've understood, not understood. Can we move forward? Can we not? Please normalize unmuting and giving your feedbacks. Any inquiries, or we can proceed?
We can proceed. We are okay.
Okay, thank you. So let's look at product or process innovation. So as an organization, you need to be able to identify which type of innovations you want to do, and of course you will emphasize on those particular places where you would wish or where you think you need to really do an innovation. So for example, if it is a product, you're trying to develop a new product, so you're trying to maybe either keep relevant, or you're trying to bring new products to the market where people can be able to continue to get maybe more fulfilled satisfaction. So if you've been producing, let's say, okay, we can say maybe let's look at phones that we talked about in the previous example. You begin by producing a phone that is maybe too big, and you find that maybe the speed is not quite good, and it's very bulky. Maybe customers are complaining, and then you go back to the research phase. You do research, you say when to make this product better, and then now you bring maybe a better version of the phone. It's maybe less bulky, it's much faster, and customers like it. Then over time, you notice maybe customers have now a problem of storage. Maybe yes, the phone is quite speedy, but it's not keeping as much information for these customers. So you say, we're going to make this product better by improving the storage capacity. So you notice that you're evolving and innovating different things on the product, on one series of a product, or it could even be a different product totally over time. So you're making it much better for your clients. So companies tend to develop different products or services and try to bring acceptable features of the product to be able to keep dominant or keep dominant designs in the market. So you could either just improve what you already produced, or you bring something totally new so that it can serve a much better purpose. Then we have process innovations. So here, the way products or services are made or distributed, that particular process is what we're trying to look at and change. So we can focus on either increasing efficiency and ensure that we have a process that is more common in mature industries and can be used or relied upon. So that's an innovation on the processes. And how does this help in supporting the business strategy? Of course, if we innovate the different products, it means we are supporting the business strategy. And how are we doing that? If we have a new product that is coming in place, it means that now the customers or the company itself has a chance to be able to benefit from high margins before others are bringing the same product to a market. For example, okay, this I think even we don't need an example, but if you're the first to innovate a particular product, maybe you're the first person to bring smartphones for that matter, into the country. So it means you can determine your price, you can sell at a good margin. But now if the different competitors are also able to bring the same product, they will bring them for them to be able to sell. Maybe they will come with a strategy of undercutting the price. So it means now you have to match their price to be able to continue selling. So that's how in innovating new products will help the business in increasing profitability. If you're not able to innovate and you're in an industry whereby innovations are something that very drastic and they happen consistently over time, then it will be very difficult for you, because you will lose most of your customers, and at the end of the day you lose the market share. And that will be a very bad thing for the company, returning these customers, or if you keep in that same theory of knowing that your customers liked your product. You've seen before, I've talked about the BlackBerry phones, the Nokia phones, or the Nokia phones that were there before. These BlackBerry phones were very likable products, and they were selling quite a lot. Over time, people innovated smartphones, and these guys were like, no, our phones have been the highest selling, and so it means people like them. And before you would know it, they were nowhere in the market. No one was willing to buy that kind of phone when there is a better type of phone that was introduced and could solve most of the people's problems. So if you're in an industry whereby you have to continuously change, you must ensure that you can also keep innovating your products. Then with the processes, it helps in having cost advantage. If you've developed a process that can help you minimize, let's say if you've been having 10 people on a chain of doing, let's say, only packaging, and you get a process that can help you, where you get maybe a machine and then you need 1 or 2 people, you save the cost. So it helps you get to a cost advantage vis-a-vis your other competitors, because now it means you have more luxury of, let's say, having a tilt change in your pricing, since you're incurring less cost. And also with the better processes, you can be able to better your customer services that you're offering. And at the end of the day, there are a lot of things that come from that: increased sales, improved customer satisfaction, and all that can be able to help you in increasing your market share. So let's look at business model innovations. So with businesses, here we look at how different organizations can be able to manage their incomes and costs based on the structure arrangements that they are having in the company. So having innovations in the business model, it helps in having a radical change in the organization. It could either be on the part of technology, or it could even be something else. You could maybe consider different aspects in the value chain that you're using. So that is it about the business model innovation. I don't know if there are any inquiries, or can we proceed?
We can proceed.
Okay, thank you. So now let's look at so we have something called talent management. So how this talent management mainly comes in place to be able to identify how we can have quality and quantity personnel that can help us to meet the current and maybe the future business priorities. So what is talent? First of all, we've all had a phrase where they say, this person has a talent in this, you're talented in doing this. Each individual maybe could have a different talent. So here you would cite out which individuals can be able to make a difference in the organizational performance based on what they are very good at. And then you have in place a talent management system whereby you can continuously identify, attract, maybe at first we begin with attracting the different people that have these talents that you're looking out for. You are able to identify, develop, and engage them. And at the end of the day, your main goal would be to ensure that you retain them so they can be in the organization for a much longer time to help you attain or benefit from that particular value that they are adding to the company's performance. So the talent management is designed around major 4 areas that we talked about. Our first one is recruitment. You're trying to do recruitment for people that have the right skill for that can fit into the strategy that you've set for the organization. So in the recruitment process, there are different things that you will consider based on what you're looking out for and how best you can be able to ensure that you pick out the people that have the skill that you're very much interested in. After you've done that, then you will do the development. So you try to develop a talent. You put in place a talent pool. So you do more trainings, you ensure that these individuals can be able to get mentored so that they can be able to perform to their best. That's the only way, as the company or as management, you can be able to benefit from an individual's talent. If you motivate them quite enough, you mentor them, they identify what they are best skilled on and how they can use it to be able to make the best significance in the organization. That's the only way they will get to that point. But if you don't train them, of course it will be quite difficult. Okay. So if you're finished doing the mentoring of the different individuals, then we now proceed to deployment of talent. So with the deployment, to ensure that now we are putting the people that are right for the job on the different placements that they can be able to manage well. If someone is very good with attending to customers, it would not make sense if you put them behind the desk, maybe somewhere in the manufacturing chain. So it means that they would not be able to achieve their they may not be able to attain their maximum potential. So you ensure that now, after you've identified what different people are best talented in, you now place them in the places that they can be able to perform to their maximization. And then lastly, we do succession plan. So with succession plan, we're trying to look at who will take over, especially maybe for the key positions when the person who is there leaves. So you continuously have it's like having a contingency plan in for the future. In case this person leaves, we can replace them with this individual. In case this one is not available, and this person can be able to step in for them. So those are the four main things that we look at when we're doing talent management. There are quite a number of benefits involved with having a talent management strategy, and some of them, they help in having high performance or better performance and workforce, and this will help in improving productivity for the organization. And how does that happen? Each individual, remember, has been deployed in a place or in a position whereby they can be able to perform at their best. If someone is very good at, let's say, computers, maybe feeding in of information, analysis, you would want to put them in a place where they can work with computers or with information or data entry and all that. If someone is not very good with computers, but they are very good, let's say, with analyzing, then you would put them in a place of reviewing what has been fed into the system. If someone is very good with let's say with customers, maybe they are confident in talking, they are very enthusiastic about the work they do, they understand and have good knowledge of the products that they are going to work with, you'd want to put them in a place where they can maybe interface with clients so that they can be able to give the best output or best explanation of maybe what they're trying to sell. So when you put them in place, this helps you to have high performances in all the different sectors that you've placed these talented individuals, and at the end of the day, you can collectively as a team be able to achieve a better performance. And also this helps organizations in retaining very good talented people that have been recruited, and also maybe attract new talented people, because everyone really would want to work in a place where they feel they get more value and where they are appreciated and where they can be able to achieve better for themselves in terms of self-growth. So you can be able to continuously attract new talent. Also, when you have talent management in place, you encourage continuous learning in the organization. People want to learn more every time there is an opportunity for people to be more creative, and this helps you not only growing the talent the person had, but they can also be able to get into a better space. If someone has been working, let's say, in production, then they can learn about different departments, and before you know it, they could even be better substitutes for those particular positions if available in the organization. So those are some of the benefits that we get from managing talent in an organization. So the different issues that also you need to consider as you're developing such a strategy for the organization. So it's very important that you ensure that management, or maybe the senior management, can be able to give support to talent management processes so that it is valued by the junior managers. Because if it's not valued, it means you're not passing on the right information to the junior managers or the junior personnel, so they will not encourage and grow it. And at the end of the day, you will think that you are doing talent management when in actual sense there is nothing being done in terms of orienting, in terms of training people and placing them in the places where they can best perform. You also need to ensure that the management process is well aligned in the business strategies that the organization has set, and that can help you as an organization to ensure that talent is well developed and this talent that you're developing can be able to fit into the strategy that you're aiming at achieving as a whole. You also ensure that the organization should be able to recruit and retain such talent. If you recruit very well talented individuals and in less than maybe 3-5 months these people are leaving, it means there is a problem. Yes, you're recruiting, but are you retaining the talent? So you have to look at different things that could help you retain this kind of talent. Could it be the motivation? Could it be the payments? Could it be the benefits that they can have along? Are there schemes that can help increase or motivate individuals to be able to get better, perform better, and maybe also get rewarded better? So it's very important for you to put in place such schemes that will help in retaining of such talent. So with the help of having in place this talent management of talent, of course it will help in reducing labor turnover, and reduced labor turnover comes along with different benefits or different impacts on the organization. Of course, we're going to have less recruitment, so we're going to spend less on recruiting. We can be able to move faster because now we don't have to train the people. We already have well-trained individuals, so it means now we can keep at the same pace. We can be able to, if it's production, we are good. We don't have to spend an entire other month trying to train the new members and different other departments as well. And how does managing of this talent impact on the organizational structure? So if we have the right members that we've been looking, if we've been able to identify the right members as we're doing the recruiting process, we have done the training. What are we trying to ensure the end goal is on the strategy that we're trying to achieve as an organization? So if you're if as an organization you've set a strategy that you're looking forward to in achieving, and then you're having in place talent management in an organization, this will help you in quite different ways, or it will help you in consolidating all the different efforts that you're putting in to ensure that as an organization you're coming at a place of achieving the set strategy for the period that you're looking at. So if you have differentiated the different strategies in the businesses, or maybe you have one major strategy, so now you're looking at having the motivated team members to work with on that particular strategy. So if they are well motivated, of course it will help you ensure that customers can be able to get what they are looking for. Is it customer satisfaction, for example? Is that a strategy that you've set? Are you saying that our aim, maybe we did not achieve our last performance because we did not follow up with customers, we don't know if the products worked for them or if we can do an improvement? So you've done the training, you've picked the right people, and you've put them on the job. These picking the right people and placing them in the places where they are where they can perform better will help you to be able now to get to these customers. If you pick people who are more enthusiastic, people who understand the product, people who can easily sell, and you put them in those right positions, it means now they can be able to interact with these customers and get the best feedback, or even train them to use the products. Or it could also, if for example you're having a cost strategy in an organization, if you're able to retain most of these people, it means that at the end of the day you're going to minimize the costs of let's say recruiting, costs of training, costs of compensation for employees who are leaving, and all that will help you to achieve your set strategy or goal at the end of the day. So there is an example that I've put here. You will look at it, and you can be able to get more clarity on this. So now let's look at Baldrige model. So with this Baldrige model, we look at mainly the 7 critical aspects that can be used in managing organizational performances. Sorry. So this model, like I was saying, it will help us to look at the main there are 7 critical aspects that we can as an organization can use in managing the performance, or even in creating and adding value to the organization, and at the end of the day to be able to increase competitiveness in the industry. So now here at the this is the if we have the organizational profile, whereby we have set a strategy, we have leadership in place, and we have customers, and then we are trying to do an integration whereby we want to ensure that we have a proper workforce, we have better operations, and at the end of the day we can be able to achieve the results that we have set to achieve at the end of the day. So we'll have to look at the different critical aspects that we can be able to ensure that we can transition from here to the point of being able to achieve the results. And one of them is the leadership. So if we have senior leadership, how are the leaders that you're having or that you've put in senior positions leading the organization? What things are they focusing on? What objectives are they putting in place to ensure that we can be able to have an achieving of the vision and the mission for the organization? So that will help you identify how effective this management is, if it is doing well, or if you need any improvements to be brought on board in terms of leadership. Here under leadership, we also look at the governance and the different societal responsibilities, and here you're able to identify how you govern your organization and how you're being able to fulfill the different responsibilities to the society. So we can look at the relationship that the organization has with the society at large, and what is the effect that is coming as a result of that kind of relationship. Then that is with the leadership. Then now we have the strategy. So under strategy, we're trying to look at the different strategy developments that are coming in place. How are the leaders trying to develop the strategy that the different strategies that the organization is having? Are they implementing the strategies anyway, or are they not implementing them at all? So of course, if you're not implementing these different strategies, it means at the end of the day you cannot be able to achieve the result, because you you're not putting in place like the action plan. If you say we're going to ensure on reducing, okay, let's say maybe improving customer services, and then you're not doing anything to be able to get along in this line of objective, it means you're not implementing the strategy. You're not putting in place, let's say, the best skilled members to work on the customers. Maybe you are not doing follow-ups. You're not doing anything, or maybe after sales services. So the business will remain as usual. At the end of the day, you cannot be able to attain the result of the objective that you had set. And then 3, we will look at these customers.
Hello.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Hello. Am I being heard? Joshua, can you hear me? Someone please unmute and let me know. I had someone. Okay, so now we're looking at customers. So here we're trying to ensure that is the voice of customers being heard. How are the customers passing on the information to you? Are you receiving it anyway as they pass on the information? So we're trying to look at that. We also look at customer engagements. How do you deal with these different customers? You're trying to serve them or ensuring that they meet you meet their needs. Are you ensuring that you're building the relationship such that they can continuously, or they can easily pass on different information to you, give you feedbacks if they're satisfied with the products or services, or if they're not satisfied, if there are any improvements that they would want to see you changing? So that is what we look at the point of customers. Then we have measurement analysis and knowledge management. So here we're trying to see how we are trying to improve the organization's performance. How are we measuring the performance anyway? How are we ensuring that we understand the progress or the impact of this performance, and can we be able to get it better? How do we manage the knowledge organization knowledge that we have. Maybe, for example, is it on the assets, on the information, on the technologies that we've put in place? Do we understand, do we analyze this extremely well? And at the end of the day, can we be able to pass on this knowledge? Then we also look at workforce, and we ensure, or we try to assess if how we build an effective and supportive workforce environment. How are we being able to engage with the different members that we're working with to ensure that they can be able to attain or achieve high performance at the end of the day? So you try to evaluate if you're giving a conducive work environment that can ensure that every person can be able to maximize their talent and perform to the best that they can. Then we look at operations. With operations, we're trying to look at how do you design or manage or even improve the key products that you're having in the organizations, or how even trying to improve the work processes that have been put in place. Are you doing anything to get them better, or is it even getting worse? How are we trying to ensure that management, or we as management, can be able to have control or manage properly the operations in place? So we're looking at, with the workforce, we're looking at how we are engaging the different members that we're working with to ensure that they can be able to have a conducive atmosphere where they can be able to perform to the best of their ability. Then with operations, we're looking at the different designs that we have in place in terms of managing or even improving the key products, or even improving the work processes that have been designed and put in place. We also look at how we ensure that there is effective management of the different operations that have been put in place to ensure that the company can be able to run efficiently and effectively. So it's very important to continuously manage, evaluate, and assess if these operations are working, or if there is need for any changes. And then lastly, we look at the result. Under the when at the result, now we look at if we've set a focused result, is the workforce ensuring that they are achieving the focused results that has been given or set as a target for them? Are your customers are you having or are you looking at what your customer focused performance results are? What you've said, what you've given to them, or what services you've given to them, are they meeting the need or the intended purpose? Are they performing well for the customers? We look at the leadership. What is the result that we are getting from the leadership and the governance? Are they working to the expectations of the rest of the team, or as the board has stipulated them, or are they not? We also look at your financials. Have you been able to perform well in terms of your financials? Have you maybe achieved the set profitability, or maybe the set revenue targets that have been given in the marketplace? How are you performing? Are you being able to, can you continuously keep afloat? Are you selling your product or your service, or is it continuously being withdrawn from the market due to limited or reduction in consumption? So that's the main 7 critical aspects that we look at in terms of assessing the Baldrige model. So it's very important that you don't forget this model, because you can use them on different questions in the exam. So I don't know if there are any questions before I proceed. Okay, so if there are no questions, let's now look at empowering organizations. And if you're trying to empower an organization, what are some of the things that we look at? One, we can look at the leadership and culture. We try to identify and assess if the leadership process that has been put in place is influencing the organization, and at least is helping in putting an effort towards achieving the goal that has been set. So it means that if the leadership is not good, it means at the end of the day they cannot be able to enforce or be able to take the direction that the organization is expected of, or they are not even they could not even not focus on the set strategies, and hence they cannot be able to deliver on that. So for if we're trying to empower an organization, we want to ensure that we can be able to succeed on how we lead the organization, or how we lead or manage different sectors in the organization, to ensure that we can be able to attain organizational success. Then we have we can also look at learning organizations. Of course, with learning, it means that you've put in place a plan. So managers or the senior management that you have selected, the senior management that you've put in place should be So looking at learning organizations, if we are trying to empower organizations to be able to ensure that they can be able to achieve the set strategy and goals, of course we would want to ensure that the senior management has done proper analysis of the external environment and the different internal resources that are available. But the only challenge that we have is that with this approach, we ignore the skills and the knowledge of the different staff. So we were not trying to, we try to ignore the different ideas that our talented team members could have that could help us in shaping the direction of the organization, but rather we are aiming at studying the different environments that are available, the external environments that are surrounding us, and then the internal resources that are available, and we focus on that to ensure that we are determining the direction of the organization from those particular areas, other than focusing on what different ideas we could use from even the staff members and any other members that contribute to the success or to the attaining of the set goals. Then we have can you see my screen? So as we are trying to learn the organization, there are 5 major disciplines that Peter based on, and these major disciplines are one of them is personal mastery, and under here we try to recognize the importance of personal learnings of the people who are in the organization. So ensure that people are well skilled, people have deepened, their discipline has been continuously improved in terms of having it clarified. People have different people have personal goals. They can be able to focus and help in developing the reality objectives of the organization. So here we ensure that the different people that are in the organization are having a deeper understanding or mastery of themselves, their discipline, and what they can be able to achieve. Then we have mental models. Here we look at the assumptions or the generalization and images that influence how we understand the world and how we're able to take actions. So we look at how discipline that is instilled in these different individuals can affect the mental models, or how it can affect the scrutiny of these different individuals. So we can be able to delegate more responsible members with senior management roles, and then we ensure that these senior managers can do the coordinating instead of them doing the controlling. So at that point, it ensures that the members who are being led do not feel like they are being controlled and they have to follow the stipulated or spelled out rules, but rather they are motivated, they are well coordinated by these managers, and they can be able to work to attain the set objectives. Then we also look at building a shared vision. here the managers share the vision of the organization with the different members who are on the working team. They motivate them to ensure that they can work as a team to ensure that they achieve the set targets, other than each individual having one particular aim that they are looking forward to, and then they will have unhealthy competition that will even not lead to organizational success as a whole. So here we set a vision for the managers will set a vision or will give a direction that the employees should be able to follow, and then this vision is introduced to the different members who are on the team. We give them different principles and on how we can be able to work together to ensure that we achieve the set vision. We also have the team learning, and with the team learning we ensure that we align and develop the capacities of a team to ensure that we can be able to create a result that is desirable. So if we've done the personal mastery, each individual is well cognizant of what they can be able to achieve, best their discipline is good enough, and then we've put in place also the mental models. It means now if all these are able to be aligned in the team, and each person's capacities have been identified and they know how they can be able to work together, then at the end of the day we can be able to develop together and attain the set objective. Then lastly we have the system thinking. Here we see the organization, how the different parts of an organization can be able to fit together, and the ability to be able to actually do the different run the organizational strategies and set visions or targets together. Can you see my screen?
Nope, I'm not seeing your screen.
Sorry, I don't know why it keeps stopping to share. Anyhow, so those are the 5 disciplines that were developed by Peter that we can also use when we are trying to pivot from a management point to ensure that we can be able to achieve the set management goal as a team. So we try to ensure that we improve the personal mastery of the different individuals that we have on the team, that is the discipline and how they can be able to first of all develop themselves as individuals, have goals for themselves, focus on their different energies and the talents that they have, and how if that is done, how they can be able to bring that together to the organization. Then we look at the mental modules where we look at the disciplines that have been involved, how people can be able to respond to their responsibilities, how they can look at managers being coordinators, not rather being controlled. So you set a mental you set a mentality for the team to know that they are working but they're not being controlled by their superiors. So that encourages them to be able to perform to the best of their ability, because they know at the end of the day they are also recognized in every effort that they contribute. Then we also look at having a shared vision among the team so that we can be able to work together. We ensure that we educate the team is learning on the different developments that are coming up, so that we can continuously have a team that is not divided, it is well informed, and they can be able to work together. And lastly, the system thinking. So those are the 5 discipline models that can be used. So with Peter's model, where we address those different 5 principles that can be considered, there is also the different building blocks that have been that were developed by David Gavin, and these ones help in providing practical advice that helps with the learning of the organization. So these 5 building blocks help in providing guidelines for learning the organization, and these 5 building blocks are the systematic problem solving blocks, whereby we can be able to identify or diagnose the different problems that we have and seek solutions that we can be able to practically use to ensure that we can overcome the different challenges or the different problems that have been identified. We also have the experimentation, where we have the new ideas that have been identified. We continuously do experiments of those ideas on the different projects that we have, and we see which ideas can be able to give the best result. Then we have learning from the past experience, and here of course this is a formal process whereby we can be able to see if this happened in the past and we applied this, how did it work, did it fail, can we be able to identify a new idea and be able to implement it. And then we also can learn from the others. These others could be the competitors, like the organizations who are in the same industry, or even competitors who are in a different industry. And this can be used as a benchmark for the organization before they implement whatever ideas they're trying to implement. So you can learn from within the industry or even outside the industry. And then lastly, you can transfer the knowledge through the formal processes to share the knowledge acquired throughout the organization. So these 5 building block guidelines are very important, and they are highly examinable. You can use them in quite a number of different topics and different questions, because once you know what guidelines you can use in an organization, so it's easier for you if you're at a point of leadership, what you can be able to strategically use to ensure that you can be able to overcome different challenges that you face. So you identify the strategic problem solving ideas, you do experiments on them, you do research on the past experiments, what happened, and if you can still use the same strategy or you need to change, you try to learn from the others, and lastly, you transfer the knowledge to ensure that you can be able to perform. Are we together as of that point? Okay, so if there are no questions, I think that is it from this topic. So we are remaining with only 2 more topics to be able to complete our syllabus, and then we can do active question practice. So thank you so much for attending today's class. I don't know if I have any inquiries before we can call it a night. If there are any, please unmute and let me know. Any? Okay, so otherwise, have a good night. Let's meet on Tuesday.